Okay, we're going to do take 6 of this video on my new crested gecko tank. And yes, this was the animal I introduced on my snap on the 1st of January. It was finally time to move him into a bigger enclosure after his quarantine was complete. His name is Scott, and he's a little skittish when it comes to his enclosure. Hey, there you are, Scott. This enclosure is still also pretty new, so not everything is very stable in it, so I'm going to have to replace this. I just messed everything up, but whatever. This is Scott. He is my crested gecko that I got off Craigslist. I consider him a rescue because when I got him, he was already a year old and only 24 grams, maybe 27. He's put on 7 grams since I've got him, and that's just in a month. He came from Petco, I can tell, because of 1, the care that was told to be given to him, and 2, the food that came with him, which this stuff is absolutely nasty. It smells like rotten carrots, and on the back in the ingredients list, you probably can't see it, but it takes like 15 ingredients before you get into the actual like fruit. So I don't consider that good. He is now on a Pangea only diet. I'm going to put him back in because he's very fired up right now. As you can see, he's very dark, and that is because he has been moved around a lot today and he's in a new enclosure, so I don't want to stress him out anymore. So I'm going to fix this little bamboo back here. Yeah, something like that. I just went in there and messed everything up, spilled water and everything. There we go. Let him go back on in and close the door. And so he's gonna chill out in there. He was kept in a 10-gallon tank. He was being fed this, in this, on the bottom, repta carpet, 4 plants, one of which is this one right here, which I'm pretty sure isn't like reptile decor. I don't know though. It just didn't really fit well in the tank. It was a 10-gallon tank, which is technically okay for them as juveniles when they're smaller, but the problem is it wasn't tipped to be upright, so he's not used to climbing as he should be, and I'm a little bit concerned with him having a vertical tank and just not being the most graceful gecko he could be. He's very much a klutz, but I don't hate on the girl. She was obviously like a senior in high school, and she probably shouldn't have been getting a lizard if she couldn't bring it to a dorm with her, and she should have done her research, but at least she like found somebody to take it. But I also more so blame the pet store for only carrying 1 type of crappy food and not having someone who knows what they're doing in the reptile section, and basically giving out very poor information, even though I've looked into Petco standards and it says they're supposed to have an extensive training on every care for the animals in there, and it's just bad. And it's not a pretty thing, but this is a pretty thing, and he's in a much better care now than he used to be. I can't wait for him to like put on more weight. There's going to be pictures of what his enclosure used to look like over on my Instagram, but it's just, he's my first crested gecko, so I didn't know what to expect entirely. Like, I'd done 2 years of research. I've been researching this since my freshman year of college. Like, I just love reptiles, so I'm just like looking into them just to know which one I wanted to get as my first, and I decided leopard geckos. But then I like was looking at crested, and I'm like, you know, this would be a pretty dope option too, but they're pretty expensive if you are to get them from a responsible breeder. So the fact that one came up in a Craigslist, I was like, I'm having him. He's only for $40 with basically a quarantine enclosure is what I used the 10 gallon for. And that's not too bad. And I feel like it's pretty easy to care for him, considering all you have to do is mix this with water and spray his enclosure down. Like, I've been dealing with leopard geckos, and you're like, you gotta dust stuff, you gotta make sure the stuff's the right temperature, you gotta make sure those humid hads are good, like, you gotta basically breed the insects, because I don't like going to the store every week to buy insects. So I felt this would be pretty easy, and it is. And even with his health concerns, I find it a lot easier than dealing with a healthy leopard gecko. And it hurts me so much when I go into a pet store and I'm like, oh yeah, bearded dragons are the best starter, when they're like, put it in a 40-gallon tank, and I'm like, it's too small. You need more than 40 gallons minimum for a beardy. I truly believe that, but their diet is just so complex, and that's really what turns me off from bearded dragons, other than the size requirements, is you have to know all of the vegetables, all of the fruit that they can have and they can't have. You have to also feed them insects. You also have to have very specific lighting, and there's the whole substrate debate, which you can say for any lizard, but like with the bearded dragons, it's much more intense, and you have to spend more money on them, because they're going to have a bigger enclosure, and they're going to have bigger decorations they're going to need, and they're just not a starter reptile. Just because your tail doesn't drop doesn't make you a starter reptile. Like, that's the main thing I heard when I was in Petco, when I was just like looking for decorations, like this bamboo thing, is, well, we don't recommend crested geckos as a starter because they drop their tail. I'm like, they can literally just drop their tail from having a nightmare. Other than, like, it's not even a big deal if they drop their tail. Like, it's not extremely detrimental to their health. It's not a big deal. Frog butts happen, and the fact that they would turn down an animal that doesn't require UVB, that doesn't require special heating if your house stays the proper temperature, that doesn't require being fed bugs, you just have to feed it this powder and water mix, and they tell you that that's an intermediate level reptile over a bearded dragon. It blows my mind. And then this same lady, who like is usually in the reptile section whenever I'm in there to do some general shopping, I was in there, and she was talking to a lovely couple who had like their kid in there, and they were looking to get her baby's first beardy, which, don't get your children reptiles unless you're prepared to take care of it 100%. But she went and said, leopard geckos, we don't have any in right now, but these guys don't grow their tails back. And I kind of went off on her. I'm like, yeah, they do. Crested geckos don't. And she's like, well, the only ones I've had experience with is crested geckos, so I assume they all don't grow their tails back. And I'm like, so because one species of a genus doesn't grow its tail back, you assume all geckos don't grow their tails back? Like, it's so bad they don't have a reptile's... It blows my mind. And they have good decor options there, but they don't have a lot of substrate, they don't have a lot of lighting, and it's weird, because I almost feel like the Petco and PetSmart are like in cohorts with my town with like what they supply, because where Petco lacks in like substrates and lighting, PetSmart makes up for it, and what Petco lacks in like fish decor, PetSmart makes up in. So it's like, I feel like they almost know the marketing of each one, and like they're like, we're gonna do this, so like, and it's awful because like you have to drive out to this horrible strip mall, but it's just, I'm really happy he got in my care, because I'm pretty sure he wouldn't have made it much longer. I could see like all of his skull basically, I could see most of his ribs, and it just wasn't a good time. Like, I don't know how much longer he would have made it, but I don't think it would have been that long. And the thing that did piss me off at the girl, like, everything else is like pretty basic mistakes beginner reptile keepers make, is like not doing enough research and trusting a pet store. Like, that's not uncommon, and it's easily fixable if somebody like tells you, hey, these are the mistakes, like this is what you need to do, or like you do start doing research when something goes wrong and you like learn all that stuff. Like, it's very easily corrected. The thing that pissed me off is I got him in the beginning of December, and I went to meet her in a public place because I didn't know it was a her at the time. It was a Craigslist thing. Like, you don't want to just, oh, come over to my house, stranger, or I'm gonna come over to yours. And I didn't really care if he was in there or not, but she like pulled him out, and it was under 30 degrees out, and I'm like, please put him back. Just please put him back. Like, I trust you that he's in there. Please don't take him out in like this cold weather. God, this stuff smells awful. This stuff's... Okay, if anyone's ever had a crested gecko and, like, they've smelt Pangea, you know it smells like you could eat it. And honestly, I'm kind of sad I can't find a food review, like, people trying to tell us what Pangea tastes like. But, like, this stuff doesn't smell like anything should eat it. Like, I'm pretty sure if I sprinkled this in with my mealworms, which are down here, like, I'm pretty sure my mealworms wouldn't even want to eat it. Like... I don't think anyone wants to eat this nastiness. And now that I finally made this video, I can throw it out. So, that's good. I'm gonna be really bummed if this video ends up not having audio, because I've tried recording it 7 different times, and I've either, like, gotten interrupted, or Scott jumped on the mouse pad and stopped the video recording, and I have no idea how to edit videos, so... Check my Instagram, though, for some pictures of what his enclosure used to look like, and I'm gonna upload this.